Hi everyone, Lydia here with the Build Show Network, and today we're going to talk about light checking. So before we get into light checking, I just want to be really clear. If you're not paying for a level that's being light checked, don't start going through your house light checking everything and putting a bazillion blue tape marks everywhere. Light checking has a place, and usually light check at a level 4 or a level 5. If you're doing a level 3 or you're not paying for the best smooth wall and you kind of are okay with imperfections, these lights should not be coming out. You're just going to be causing problems and finding things that are totally acceptable for that level of finish. When we are light checking on smooth walls. So we are taking the light around and we are raking it at the wall, and we are creating light, which then we can find imperfections that you normally can't see, like just facing the wall. So there's a couple different options when we are looking at light checking. The oldest is the halogen light. We've all put our time in. I know I've held this up above my head, light checking, and walking around this thing and have arm burns and all sorts of stuff to show for it. So a halogen is definitely the oldest. It casts kind of a yellow light, so you can get some shadows. Sometimes still it's my most preferred lights, depending on the situation. Sometimes the LEDs can flash or strobe, so a halogen is definitely my favorite for when I'm tasking and still doing other jobs too. The yellow light can be pretty decent too with flashing up walls and showing, but there are so many better options out now than the halogen that this rarely ever gets picked up. Now we can move into Unilite. These guys have a lot of really great lights. They're all made for job site work. And what's really cool about these is they have temperature degrees. This specific model doesn't, but I do have a model where you can have a yellow light, a bright white light, you can have certain dimness, you can have control over the lighting that you're having. So compared to our old school halogen that's burning our arms and we have to have an extension cord to run, these Unilites here are super sweet because they're all chargeable, battery operated, and they're easy to bring on the job site. And I would much rather hold this up all day than the halogen and 5 extension cords trailing behind me. Now something that's brand new that just came out is Spy Sponge. So this one actually is integrating light in with a sanding sponge. So you have your little lights in here that has cores, and then the light goes in here, and then you have light coming out of the sponge onto the wall. Super nice, especially with dark areas. You can run 2 sponges, and you're also eliminating the need for somebody following you around carrying a light, which we've all done that, had to hire the guy who's holding the light and light checking around the whole house for you. So these are a great option. There's also pin lights. So this is just a little inspection light, super nice for just kind of raking up the wall, especially if you're doing some smaller detailed sanding or you know there's just a touch-up spot in a certain area. So pin lights are great. Headlamps are always a good choice too. Nice bright light, you can just throw them on your head and then you can walk around to detail sand with the headlamp. And of course there is the Festool Plane X2, and that one has the light built into the sander. If you've been watching me for a while, you know my dad took it and I still haven't gotten it back. So I can just talk about it, I can't show you. So that's where that is. But now we're gonna go ahead and walk over to a wall. I'm just gonna take the pin light with me because it's a little bit easier to show, but I'll show you what it looks like when we start raking light up walls and what we find. So we're in a garage here. This just got a 2-coat real quick box. It's just gonna look nicer for paint. So I'm not, like this obviously is not a level 5 job here. This is just, it's not even a level 4. It's just kind of for an example. But what we can do is we can take our light, and when we start flashing it, it starts casting light up and over the surface. So you start seeing imperfections that you've never seen before. It'll show scratches, things that you've missed, especially if you're doing a lot of detail sanding. Light checking is huge. So we just kind of rake it up. This is a smaller light, so it's kind of nice for getting in those smaller areas. We've also done it where we have somebody following behind, so you have one person holding the light up against the wall and then another person sanding. So kind of depends on how your crew is running, but light checking can be very important, especially if we're going with dark shiny panes. If the customer is paying for absolute perfection, light checking is definitely something you want to be doing. And that is it for me this week. I hope that kind of helps. Again, don't go crazy and start light checking everything in your house. There is a time and a place for it, and there is a price bracket that pays for, light checking walls. But that's it for me this week. I will catch you guys next week on the Build Show. Follow me on socials, Drywall Shorty, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Have a great week, guys.